What's up YouTube, this is iReaction V2 here, and today I'm going to be bringing you a review of the Acer Aspire V13. It's got an Intel Core i5-6200 CPU, Intel HD graphics, no graphics card in it externally. It's all integrated. It's got 6 gigs of DDR3 RAM, 256 gigabyte SSD, and then it's got a ton of ports for how small it really is. It's got 2 USB 2s, 1 USB 3, one USB 3.1 Type-C connector, which is pretty cool, although it's not got many practical uses right now. It's got a HDMI port rather, 1 Ethernet, 1 microphone, and headphone jack, so you can put a splitter in and do both, or you can just put in your Apple headphones or whatever that's got a microphone on it. Also, it's got an SD card reader, and it comes with a cover, which is really cool because those that little slot likes to get all sorts of dust and junk built up in it, so that prevents that. The pros and cons of this thing: it's really pretty cool. It's got a touchscreen, which I really thought I wasn't gonna like and wasn't gonna use at first, but as I've used it, I've probably had it for 2 weeks or so now, so that I could get a good feel for everything that's in it. And the touchscreen is really nice. It really makes things easy to use. It's very intuitive. Whenever you touch and you scroll, it usually knows when you want to scroll versus when you're clicking on something versus when you're dragging something. Honestly, really good job there. Another pro to it is, well, this is kind of a pro based off the con of when you're typing, the trackpad in the middle is kind of big and your palm or your thumbs tend to rest on it when you're typing, but so it's easy to hit the trackpad whilst typing and make mistakes. But you can turn off the trackpad, which is a mild inconvenience, but at the same time, I've also not experienced huge issues with messing myself up based off of the trackpad. So that's not bad. The display is really nice for the 13-inch. It's 1280 by 720, I believe. So that's all good. It looks great. Also, it holds charge really well. On the actual box, it says 8 hours. On Amazon, where I bought it, it said 12.5 hours. I'm a big League fan. I played some League on it, and I basically used it to just plug in all sorts of peripherals. So I would recommend, if you're gonna play video games on the laptop, have a monitor, have a keyboard, and have a mouse. The screen is a little small. I mean, you could get used to it, but it's not a big deal. And also, when you're gaming, you're gonna want to plug an Ethernet cable into it. You're not gonna want to just play off of Wi-Fi, because one, it's just shoddy in general. Wi-Fi, it can cut in, it can cut out at any time, whether you have good Wi-Fi, bad Wi-Fi. I personally have really good internet at my house, but even still, when playing on Wi-Fi, I was sitting at 120 to 150 ping at times, and it would drop down to 70, 80. But when I plugged in my Ethernet cable and played a game that way, it sat at 60. It took a minute. It was at 100 for a while, but it dropped down to 60, and it stayed consistently at 60. So that was a good thing. That's not to say it works great for light gaming. If you're trying to play Dark Souls on max settings or anything like that, Grand Theft Auto 5 or something that's going to be pretty intense on your computer, or Fallout 4, it's not going to happen, But other than that, it works great. I ran League at medium high settings at about 40 frames a second pretty consistently, which isn't bad for a laptop. The audio, while it is pretty good, it's got Dolby Audio. The audio comes from the bottom of the computer, which is really not cool, because when you set it down on something, it almost distorts the audio or muffles the audio. But when you do have it on a flat desk, it sounds really good. It kind of spreads from under the laptop to all around it, and it really is a pretty immersive sound that way. But it's really unfortunate for if you're laying in bed doing homework and listening to music or something. It sounds muffled unless you have it in the sweet spot, which is kind of a pain. This is also the white edition. I believe it comes in black too. Everyone's gonna think, oh, it's white, it's gonna be dirty, but I've had it for 2-3 weeks now, and dirt doesn't really find it. You'll see hairs, things like that, little dirt, but it's easy to wipe off, wash off. I haven't had any problems with it, like really getting too dirty or anything like that, but I've also taken really good care of it, so that's not to say that it won't. So I can't make that claim yet. I've only had it for a few weeks, maybe a month, But so far, so good. So another big problem with this computer was when I first got it, the drivers on it were all out of, they weren't up to date. Like the audio kept crashing every time I'd use it. I'd plug in, headphones, and the audio driver would crash and fix itself, which it only took a minute or so to fix, but it was just annoying that it happened. Also, the Wi-Fi was at one point bugged, but I can't tell if that was a Windows 10 issue or if that was a computer issue, because it happened one time in the 3 weeks or so that I've had it, and it hasn't happened again. So that could have been a Windows 10 issue. I don't know. I have a desktop behind me here which doesn't run on Wi-Fi, so I can't tell if that's Windows 10 or not. Another con to the computer is that if you're gaming, which it makes sense, it's not really that big a con, but it drains the battery quick. I played without the charger on it just to see how it reacted, and about 3 league games and it was at half battery. So I mean, it's kind of expected. It's going to be pretty hard on the computer, so I can't really say that that's that big of a con. If you're gaming, you're probably not on the go anyway. If you're playing games like that, League or something to that extent, I'm sure you could get CSGO and run it at low speeds, or Rocket League or something like that. But usually you'll be sitting down somewhere where you could probably plug it in anyway, so that's not too big a deal. The webcam's good and bad. It's I'll include some footage of it right over here side by side, so you can compare. But when you compare it side by side, it's clearly not going to be as good as what I'm filming on, which is a webcam, which is not great. I'm not claiming for it to be the best, but it's a Logitech webcam, the 905 or something like that. So it's not bad, but the webcam on the computer, rather, it in nighttime, if it's not well lit somewhere, the picture comes out terribly. Like, it's almost unviewable. Like, it's really not even good. It's very pixelated. But if you're in a well lit area, it looks okay. I mean, it really looks pretty good. So it's a laptop webcam. You shouldn't be expecting too much out of it, especially out of the price point. Overall, I mean, I was really impressed with it, and at the price point, I think it's a great value. But I did notice, I ordered it, and it was I must have been on sale on Amazon. It was $600, and then I looked like a week after I bought it and went up to $700. But if you look at what comes inside of it, you get touchscreen, you get 256 gig SSD, you get a Core i5, which is always good, and it's a hybrid thread. It's got 4 logical cores. It's not just a 2-core i3 or something like that. So for what you get with it and inside of it, it's really pretty darn good value. Even at the $700 price point, I'd really recommend going with it. If you can find it on sale again at that $600, it's basically a no-brainer. I would recommend buying it on the spot. And I don't want to give the illusion that this thing is, just better than anything out there, because I know it's not. It's not an i7. It's not, top of the line. But the value to the price point, I would absolutely recommend it. The 3.1 Type-C connector is obviously a huge plus. Soon that's going to start getting incorporated into more things. USBs, things like that are going to start using that, and it's a faster port. And it's got other great capabilities that I'm sure all the computer whizzes will be commenting down below, saying, hey, it does this and it does that and blah blah blah. But it's just awesome that it comes with that. The SD port, also great to have, especially for someone who's, say, a camera person, a photographer, and they're constantly taking pictures, and they have their SD card and they slip it in here, throw all their pictures on their laptop, and go. You don't need an external hub. It's got 3 USB ports, which is also great. You don't need a hub. It's not like a MacBook Air or something, where it only has a few ports. Which I shouldn't say that, but some of the thinner computers where they get so thin that they only have room for a few ports. It's a really good value, so I'd highly recommend it. One last con, the keyboard. It's a pro and a con. The keys are very thin, and they don't have very deep actuation points when you press them. So I like to push and really feel like my buttons are being pushed. I have a Razer Black Widow, the mechanical keyboard, and so those things you really have to push them to get them to work. But these ones are not. So it's kind of an adjustment, but it's not unusable. It's not terrible. That's kind of it, guys. I mean, those are my opinions on it. The pros, the cons. I really think it's a good value at the price point it's at, $600 to $700, depending on where you find it and what deals you can find. But I definitely would recommend it at that point. So thank you guys for watching. If you liked it, like the video. If you didn't like it, tell me what I can do better in the comments. If you really like me, subscribe. If you don't like me, but thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.